After we analyzed the defense and HP calculation in the last video, let's talk about skill damage calculation in this video. Did you ever ask yourself, what is the difference between skill power and skill power modifier? And how does elemental skill power work? Or if the tech skill power modifier is better than the fire skill power on Epic? To answer these questions, I did a lot of testings and even figured out the exact damage formula for the skill damage. And in the end, I will give you a tool which you can use to figure out which mods are the best for the character of your choice. So without further ado, let's get started. In the First Descendant, mods are divided in sockets, class, and groups. You can only equip one mod of each group on any given Descendant. The mod groups that are mainly responsible for your damage are the battle and attack group. While the battle group usually gives you skill power, the attack group will give you skill power modifier and skill type related stats. In the battle group, we have focus on elemental mods, master elemental mods, master type mods, maximize skill, power increase, and elemental specialist mods. In the attack group, we have technician, type specialist, skill simplification, maximize power, and focus on type mods. Each one of the mods will give you some of the following effects: elemental skill power, type skill power modifier, skill power, or skill power modifier. Each of the stats will surely give you some sort of benefit, but which one is the best? Well, this question is as always not easily answered, since there are some additional factors to consider. The first and the most important number to check is the skill power scaling of the skill itself. This number can vary a lot, from only a little bit over 15 like Enzo's perfect support, to over 9000 like Kyle's superconductivity thrusters. The skill scaling is a direct multiplicative value to your skill power, which is the second most important number to consider. This number is directly defined by your reactor and is the base value of your skill damage calculation. So how does the number of your core translate into the dealt damage of your skill? After hours of testing, I finally cracked the code and found out the exact damage calculation. Now hold tight. The damage is calculated by the formula skill power multiplied by the matched weapon ratio multiplied by the sum of the elemental power ratio and the elemental skill power multiplied by the type power ratio multiplied by the sum of the skill scaling, the skill power modifier, and the type skill power modifier, and finally multiplied by the skill power. The damage calculation is a mess. I was very surprised by the fact that the type skill power modifier is an additive value to the skill power modifier instead of the type power ratio, while the elemental skill power is an additive value to the elemental power ratio and not an additive value to the skill power modifier. Because of the fact that the game treats the two damage multiplier from the reactor completely differently, it was so hard for me to figure out the exact damage formula. In this chart, I noted the calculated damage and the observed damage with the different mods and cores. The damage number matches perfectly. So we have different elemental skill power, type skill power modifier, skill power, and skill power modifier, with different mods boosting each one of these stats. But what does that mean for us? What of the 4 stats is the best? Well, in my opinion, there are 2 cases. Case 1, you can slot in an attack mod and a battle mod. In this case, bear with me, I will explain this later in the video. The second case, you are only able to slot in either a battle mod or an attack mod. In this case, the general thumb rule is, if the scaling itself is low, use the power modifier or the type modifier. Is the scaling itself very high, use skill power. Let me show you an example. Enzo's perfect support has a scaling of 15.9%. If you use battle mods, they will add a multiplier to your low 15%, which will be less damage than the damage you will gain by using attack mods. Attack mods will give you an additive 90% skill modifier, which will result into a much bigger damage number than the battle mods. So in this case, you should prioritize attack mods over battle mods. However, Enzo's explosive drone has a base scaling of 837.5%. If you add another 90% skill power modifier on top of it, the damage increase will only be roughly 10%, while adding a battle mod with a multiplicative skill power of 87%, you will almost double the damage you are dealing. The turning point from using battle mod over attack mod is roughly at 100% skill scaling. If your skill scaling is less than 100, use attack mods. If your skill scaling is over 100, use battle mods. Now let's talk about the second case, which the player will encounter most of the time. In this case, I made a Google Sheet for you to download. Just open the link in the description and either make a copy of it if you are using Google, or download it as Excel. Here's how it works. Look at the skill that your build is focusing on, and enter the skill power scaling of this skill in the green cell. In the red bar, you can see the name of the mod, and at the bottom in the purple bar, you will see the damage you are dealing with the mods. On the right side, you will see a cross tab with all the possible combination between the battle mods and the attack mods. This chart will tell you the damage of any given combination between the mods. Let's do an example. Lepix Overkill has a scaling of 2760.3%. If you are level 100 and your reactor gives you 11,060 skill power, and your weapon, your element and the skill type matches the core, your damage on an enemy without any fire resistances will be 1,155,998. If you scroll to the right side, the mod combination with the highest damage possible will be maximize power plus maximize skill. Just be aware, maximize power and maximize skill comes with the drawback of the higher cooldown, which is why it has a grey background, since the drawbacks are significant in the average gameplay. Without these two mods, the best combination will be skill simplification and fire specialist. Feel free to play around with this chart. These kind of videos usually takes a lot of time to make, especially with the repeated testings to ensure the correct numbers. So if you like the video and you wanna see more of it in the future, please consider to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.